Now, a Nobel Prize-winning scientist who jointly discovered the DNA double helix has been stripped of his remaining honorary titles over controversial remarks he made about race and intelligence. 90-year-old Dr. James Watson lost his job back in 2007 for expressing allegedly racist views. We can talk about it a bit more with Dr. Turi King from the Department of Genetics and Genome Biology at the University of Leicester. Turi, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. So he lost that job back in 2007. Can you just tell us what's happened now?
Well, my understanding is that he has done a recent documentary where he reiterates his racist comments, and this has obviously led to Cold Spring Harbor have decided to strip him of his honorary titles there so as to distance themselves from his views.
Yeah, Cold Spring Harbor, the laboratory, that he was working at. Some pretty awful stuff. He told a magazine in 2007 he was inherently gloomy about the prospect of Africa, as all our social policies are based on the fact that their intelligence is the same as ours, he said, where all the testing says not really. These are theories within the scientific community that have been thoroughly debunked, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, the statements that he's making are simply not backed up by the science. And I think that's one of the things that quite worries us scientists or geneticists within the field, because obviously he's quite a big name of certain stature. And so people may actually sort of believe what it is that he's saying here, where it is simply not backed up by the science whatsoever.
What does it mean for the work that he's known for? Rose to prominence because, along with people like Francis Crick, Maurice Wilkins, for that double helix discovery. Does what he has said have put a dark cloud over the work he's done?
I think it's extremely unfortunate because obviously he is incredibly well known alongside Crick and Wilkins and Rosalind Franklin, indeed, for the work in determining the structure of DNA, which was a huge breakthrough in science and really started the field of molecular genetics. So he's known as one of the father figures within our field. And unfortunately, these sort of statements that he's making, which aren't backed up by the science, which as a scientist is what you need to do, is you need to back up your statements with the evidence. I think it unfortunately begins to detract from that a little bit, which is a shame because what he did was incredible. It was an incredible breakthrough that he did.
And as well, I imagine for people in your field, very personally upsetting someone who you probably admire, used to admire at least.
Certainly. I mean, it's the sort of thing that when, as a person, when you're learning about genetics, he is one of the big names. The 1953 paper is one of the seminal works within the field. And so obviously it's incredibly disappointing, given what he has done with this particular discovery, to have him saying things such as this. Though, ironically, it is quite interesting. The fact that he is saying this sort of things is almost testament to the fact that there are things other than genetics which determine people's outcomes. So, for example, he said that women are unable to reach the pinnacle of science simply because of our biology. But as it shows, it's not just genetics, it's other things that go on, such as people in positions of power having sexist views, for example.
I wonder what you make of what his son Rufus said. Said that his father's in a nursing home after a car crash. My dad's statements might make him out to be a bigot and discriminatory, but they just represent his rather narrow interpretation of genetic destiny. My dad had made the lab his life, and the lab now considers him a liability. What do you make of that?
I can understand why the lab sees him as a liability now, because it's the sort of thing where you would like to have a scientist backing up their views with the evidence, and unfortunately he doesn't seem to be doing that.
Dr. Turi King, thank you for speaking to us this evening.
No problem.